Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Got Joe Ingersoll on. Always enjoy visiting with him, and he's a regular contributor on The Price of Business. He's got a great company called Take On College, which really helps students take a different approach, I think a healthier approach, a more robust approach to their college experience. Joel, how are you today?
Doing great, Kevin. How are you?
Doing great. Why don't you kind of give us your elevator speech before we get started?
Sure. Take On College, what we do here is we really specialize in personal development of college and college-bound students. So we start working with students, from the ninth grade through graduate school, really, and really help them develop the necessary skills through coaching that will help them be successful in whatever endeavor they pursue.
I'm curious. I've been meaning to ask you this, especially those who get started in 9th or 10th grade of your clients. Where do they end up typically going to school? What type of schools do they end up going to?
Really a range of them, Kevin. There's some students who, wind up going in your quote-unquote top-tier schools. And then again, there are those who are, who do really well and wind up in schools, public schools, in New Jersey, out of state, private schools. It really runs the gamut.
So, what's cool about your program, I'm sure that in the process, you're helping them ascertain what type of academic environment would work best for them. Like in my case, I went to Abilene Christian University, and my kids all went to mega universities, U of H and University of North Texas, really large schools. Those two schools, either one of them would be the largest school in 48 states of the union. You know what I'm saying? They're massive universities. Only in Texas are they considered modest size. I had to go to an Abilene Christian University because I would have got lost in that shuffle. High likelihood I would have never even finished school just because I needed more of that engagement with faculty. I didn't have a whole lot of home support and that type of thing when it came to that type of thing. But I'm sure you help determine what kind of environment's best for them as well, the earlier you get started with them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a huge part of our, consultative process, and we actually work with parents on that as well. Kids today are under just a tremendous amount of pressure, mainly from the 10th grade on, just with, in terms of scores on tests and GPAs and things like that, which are really significant. However, what also gets lost is the value of some of these schools that, may not have the Ivy League name or prestige or such a big school, say like the University of Michigan or something like that. And I would have gotten lost there as well, completely lost. And I really benefited from a place that felt really right to me, a place where, I got to know my professors very, very well, and it was a really great fit. And I think that element really gets lost in the shuffle sometimes.
Talk a little bit about personal development when it comes to college students and getting ready for college.
Yeah, this is one of the major things that we focus on through Take On College. So we, want to work with students in helping them self-assess their skills and abilities and personal qualities, their life goals, and we really want to help them sort of clarify these things and embrace things like personal strengths to help them really maximize their potential. With what I said before about, people getting caught up in the scores and things like that, we often miss golden opportunities to help students develop themselves personally and with skills like problem solving and resiliency, assertiveness, communication, time management, emotional intelligence, stress management, etc. I mean, these are the skills, in addition to the grades and things like that are going to be so critical to them in their transition into college, transitioning out of college, and into successful careers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's interesting. Talk a little bit about, you talked about starting as early as 9th grade. What is the average grade in which you begin to work with students?
Right now, the average grade usually, right now it's about 11th and 12th graders, and we do see a lot of first-year college students as well, though. But certainly in the high school range, it's more toward 11th and 12th grade.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why? What would be the advantage of them getting started 2 years earlier?
Well, the big advantage is that with what the type of work that we do and what we coach our students on and families on in relation to these, in relation to personal development skills, is that college is such a shock to students once they get there, once they transition and adapt. And so what we do is we really help them identify areas of strength and areas of challenge to help develop and really focus in on, particularly over, the junior and senior year, pre-college transition. So, assertiveness, for example, and effective communication and time management is probably one of the biggest ones, because their time is so well managed now. It's just incredible. So we really help them develop and embrace, those strengths that are going to be really key, and that's why it's such an advantage for the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders actually to be working with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. It makes perfect sense for me. What does personal development look like for a high school student in anticipation of going to college?
Well, I think it looks at a couple of things. First and foremost is the development of a sense of self that's confident, that trusts themselves in terms of problem solving and their ability to cope with things like anxiety and worries, being able to effectively communicate with people. So, actually like raising their heads from their phones or their iPads or whatever else they're using and really look people in the eye and communicate with them. Developing resiliency, for example, if they get a bad test grade, how to bounce back from that effectively and not just spend the day bashing the teacher and say to themselves, I can't do it. We really challenge them there to really address what their strengths are and a better approach to be proactive. And then also emotional intelligence. I think that's probably a big factor too, and one that we really strive to work with students on, not only to recognize their own emotional state and to be able to communicate those feelings, but also recognizing how their behavior affects other people, and also being able to recognize other people's emotions and respond effectively.
It seems to me emotional intelligence is really stunted among the millennials.
Yeah, they're getting a really bad rap for that, about that. And it's something that we really emphasize when we're coaching students.
Yeah, Joel Ingersoll, Dr. Ingersoll, he's the founder of Take On College, and that's takeoncollege.com. I think this is fantastic. I find it crazy how much money people spend to get their kids into programs they want their kids to get into, and then just let them flounder and fall apart once they get to college, and they come back and have to do the next year and a half at a junior college just because they realize they needed training wheels. Figure that out before you send their kids out. Address those needs. Take On College seems like a logical way to do that. Final thoughts before I let you go.
I just to echo, what you just said, that's exactly what we do, Kevin, and we're really, enjoying a lot of introducing a lot of great programming through our coaching approach now, doing a lot of group coaching programs and individual coaching programs with students all over the country. So, we're really loving it.
Love it. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Kevin.
When we come back, much, much more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. Can't talk this morning. Be back for more right after this.